CBS 11 has uncovered a potential threat to thousands of lives.
The potential danger deals with natural gas drilling right around Joe Pool Lake in Grand Prairie. There's a letter from government engineers. It informs city leaders that drilling near the lake could be a catastrophic dam failure. The alert brought those words, scary as hell, from Grand Prairie's mayor. The caution has led to the city now to stop drilling around the lake. CBS 11's Andrea Lucia joining us live tonight with more on the investigation. Andrea?
Well, Doug, in this letter, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers says it has significant safety concerns about the Joe Pool Dam, a dam it built.
On one side of the Joe Pool Dam lies the lake. On the other,
but you can see the line of the dam,
lives Rosemary Reed and the rest of Grand Prairie's Westchester neighborhood.
You know, you hear the birds and the crickets.
But last year, a new neighbor arrived, the Chesapeake Energy Company. And it started drilling for natural gas right behind their homes.
You know, your house is shaking, everything that you own is shaking, the ground's moving.
Putting signs in her yard, Reed began to protest the drilling, worried it could be dangerous. And combing through the city's public records, she found evidence she might be right. This letter, written to Grand Prairie by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, reads, drilling and fracturing at Chesapeake Energy's Corn Valley drill site may possibly contribute to a catastrophic dam failure, creating a risk to thousands of people and properties downstream.
When they said a catastrophic dam event, I mean, that alone scares me.
Well, I think it's scary as hell.
The mayor of Grand Prairie got the letter back in February.
Catastrophic dam failure will get your attention. Trust me, that will get your attention as a city council.
In the letter, the Army Corps asked the city to immediately impose a 6-month moratorium on approval of any drilling and hydrofracturing activities within 3,000 feet of Joe Pool Dam, an action the city didn't take until last night. The mayor says he's been waiting for more information.
We've written a couple of letters to the Corps and made a couple of phone calls and actually have had no response.
And he says the company has stopped drilling since the letter arrived. But an email Reed says she received from the Army Corps last month claims just the opposite. Chesapeake has declined to cease operations, it reads. And at last night's meeting, Chesapeake argued the city should hold off banning drilling by the dam.
There's no scientific, geological, or quantifiable information of any sort to justify such a request by the Corps.
But for Reed, any risk is too much.
And it just shows their arrogance. You know, all they care about is the money.
Well, the Army Corps says in March it adopted a policy opposing any drilling within 3,000 feet of any of its dams. But because it generally doesn't own the land that these drills are located on, it is limited on what it can do to stop companies. Chesapeake Energy, by the way, has not responded to our request for comment. In the newsroom, Andrea Lucia.
Andrea.
Well, Chesapeake Energy, the company that operates that natural gas drilling site just on the other side of this dam, has not returned any of our phone calls or emails today after not commenting yesterday either. I did just get off the phone with the U.S. Bureau of Land Management, though, which told me that as far back as 1996, the Corps of Engineers has been voicing concerns about drilling near its dams, which prompts some critics to ask what's taken so long to act. A professional river guide and an avid canoeist, Mark McCord lives for the water.
To me, it feels like I'm in heaven. It's the most serene, calm, and enjoyable place that I ever am in my life.
For him, a strong warning by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers about possible catastrophic dam failure at Joe Pool Lake seems very realistic.
I think it's absolutely appropriate, and I think it's long overdue.
The cause for the Corps' concern is a natural gas drill site operated by Chesapeake Energy, roughly 500 feet from the dam. McCord, in fact, says he called the Corps back in September to ask if it was safe for them to be drilling so close.
Their response was that they were unaware of how close it was to the dam.
A dam failure, though, would flood more than just the city of Grand Prairie, to whom the Corps' letter was addressed. Part of this dam, we discovered, is in Dallas as well. In its letter, the Corps said it planned to contact city leaders there, but a Dallas spokesperson told us it never got the same drastic warning letter Grand Prairie did. Still, Council member Scott Gregg said the city is aware of the Corps' concern and actively addressing it.
Certainly the distance that drilling and hydraulic fracturing should be permitted to occur from levees and dams the critical question that we're answering.
Right now, the city of Dallas does have a task force trying to overhaul the city's outdated drilling ordinances. That task force has been studying the possible impact of drilling in an urban environment. And until it is done, the city of Dallas has not been issuing any new drilling permits. Reporting live here on Joe Pool Lake, Andrea Lucia, CBS 11
It was a
News.
dire warning. Stop drilling or there could be catastrophic failure of a North Texas dam. Well, thousands of people, their lives and their property were at risk at that time. The danger zone was near Joe Pool Lake. So why tonight is the Corps of Engineers now backing down from that warning, which worried residents and even outraged a mayor? CBS 11's Andrea Lucia live for us at Joe Pool Lake with the latest on the CBS 11 investigation, which is already getting results. Andrea?
Last week, the mayor of Grand Prairie told us he had been trying for months to get in touch with the Corps of Engineers to follow up with them on that scary warning he got in a letter back in February. Well, the very next morning after our story aired, he says his phone rang. And today, he finally got to sit down with the Corps. We were also there when that meeting let out. Riding across the lake to the Joe Pool Dam, Major Andrew Liffring with the Army Corps of Engineers found no reason to fear it could suddenly give way.
It looks fine to me.
6 months ago, his predecessor seemed to feel differently when he wrote this letter to the city of Grand Prairie warning natural gas drilling could possibly contribute to catastrophic dam failure, with thousands of lives and properties in danger. Grand Prairie's mayor told us,
Well, I think it's scary as hell.
but was such an alarming warning really necessary? Today, we caught up with Major Liffring walking out of a meeting the mayor said he'd been requesting for months.
That was a very strongly worded letter. Are you guys backing off from that?
There's a second letter out there that's a lot more appropriate.
In which way is it more appropriate?
It clarifies what we really wanted to say.
What the Corps really wanted to say, it seems, was simply that drilling or fracking near the dam may present an increased risk. So why such dire language in that first letter? The major didn't have a clear answer.
I really don't know why I wasn't with the Corps at that time, but I think it was to make sure that we got the city's attention.
And it did get the city's attention. Last week, Grand Prairie passed a moratorium to stop further drilling by Chesapeake Energy. Chesapeake has one natural gas well within 1,000 feet of the dam and permits to drill another 4. That second letter, meanwhile, never made it to Mayor Charles England, even though it was dated back in April.
We really never saw that letter, I think, until maybe today.
Major Liffring says the Corps' intention in both letters was simply to persuade the city to stop permitting any drilling within 3,000 feet of the dam, while the Corps studies what possible impact it could have. Inviting our crew on a tour of the lake, the major explained when this dam was built, hydrofracking didn't even exist and was never taken into consideration.
So you just don't know what kind of impact it's going to have.
Exactly. We don't know. At this time, we don't know.
Chesapeake Energy says back in February, the Corps asked it to voluntarily hold off on any new drilling by the dam for 6 months. Well, that time has now passed, and Chesapeake says the Corps hasn't offered any evidence or even new allegations. It said it had planned to resume drilling this December. It has not said if it still intends to do so. The Corps, meanwhile, says its study should continue until October of next year. Reporting live here by Joe Pool Lake, Andrea Lucia, CBS 11 News.